You think your baby is tough? Well, it's no match for the boldest babies of the natural world. We're counting down the top 10 toughest babies in the animal kingdom and comparing them to our own hardy half-pints. Discover that cuties can kill when babies have to fight to become the most extreme.
Earth is a planet of extremes. Extreme places. And extreme animals. But some animals are more extreme than others. Join us as we count down to find the most unusual and the most extraordinary on Animal Planet's The Most Extreme. Number 10.
It's not easy looking for the world's toughest babies. In fact, our first contender has parents that really have to go out on a limb. That's because on the Indonesian island of Borneo, some families are perfectly at home living in trees that can be as high as 10-story buildings. Climbing in to number 10 in the countdown is the orangutan. Life looks so easy for the young orang, sitting safe and sound in mom's nest in the treetops. They've left any hungry tigers far below, but up here, this baby still has to be tough to survive. The baby orangutan swings into the start of the countdown because it has to hang on to mom for dear life. At these extreme heights, one slip could be fatal. Studies of orangutan skeletons found 7 out of 10 adults have broken an arm or a leg. Luckily, the babies can grab on with both their hands and feet, giving them twice as much clinging power as any human infants. Hanging around with mom means the baby can learn the location of the best foods in the forest. It takes about a year before the baby risks going out on a limb by itself. The orang is a natural acrobat because it will spend 90% of its life in the trees. But there is one human baby that likes swinging through the air with the greatest of ease. Zena Seiler is not your usual 4-year-old. Swinging in the local park with Dad would make most kids happy. But Zena likes dangling from heights that would make an orangutan proud.
Straight legs. Turn. Yeah. Very good.
Zena loves the flying trapeze.
Well, give me your hand. Give me your hand. Squeeze tight. Hold tight. Ah! All right, ready to go? Yes. Go.
Zena started getting lessons 8 months ago at Trapeze High in San Diego.
Woo! Baby!
Swinging 23 feet above the ground is easy, thanks to the help of catcher Kevin Six and trainer David Ayers.
I'm going to go on the big one. I'm the catcher. You go on the little one. You're the kid.
We're going to swing twice, and then we'll do a backflip. But you have to swing twice first. Okay. Here she comes.
You may think letting your 4-year-old daughter play on the trapeze is a little risky, but unlike an orangutan, Zena has a safety line, meaning that she can never fall.
Okay, Zena, get ready. Stick your hands out. Straight legs, here you go. Go, go.
Some babies start learning to fly with Dave as young as 18 months old. So while Xena may not be the youngest flyer, she's certainly one of the most enthusiastic.
The first time that Xena came onto the property, she ran out of the pickup truck and ran all the way to the ladder laughing. She had no idea what trapeze was about, but she was looking up there and watching the other people fly. We asked her to do something, she does it instantly.
Ready, head.
Xena's pretty tough. There are a lot of kids who wouldn't be able to do that, who were 11 and 12. In fact, we had an adult that couldn't even take off the platform. Yeah, you have to be very strong mentally as well, and it's not easy to jump into somebody's hands 23 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Safety lines and a net guarantee Xena won't get hurt. But the orangutan has only the ground to catch its fall. This young orang will hang out with mom for up to 6 years, the longest of any other ape. The orangutan baby is number 10 in our countdown because it gets lots of love from mom, unlike our next contender, which gets dropped on its head as soon as it's born.
Number 9.
Take a deep breath, because we're about to deliver a baby without the help of doctors, nurses, or epidurals. In fact, painkillers would come in handy for our next contender, because being born is dangerous business when you're a giraffe. As the tallest mother in the world, the giraffe poses some unique challenges for her baby. Her legs alone are taller than the average man, and because she's surrounded by hungry predators, she can't afford to risk lying down to give birth. With 6 feet separating her newborn and the ground, there's only one thing for a tough baby to do. The baby giraffe falls into number 9 in the countdown, literally. At least the fall breaks the umbilical cord and helps the baby take its first breath. But there's no time to worry about possible concussions. The baby has to find its feet fast, which is no easy task when you're already as tall and as heavy as an average adult human. It only takes 15 minutes for this baby to be able to stand and search for its first meal. But on the plains of Africa, a baby giraffe isn't the only animal looking for an easy meal. There's another reason why the newborn giraffe is number 9 in the countdown. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Fast. Really fast. Only about half the babies born will survive attacks like this in their first year. Imagine if you had a baby that could run like a giraffe. In only a few hours, you'd have an infant that could run at incredible speeds. At 32 miles an hour, your newborn baby could easily outrun Olympic sprinters. Yet, for all its speed, this baby won't be running away from home in a hurry. The giraffe can take up to 18 months before it's ready to fend for itself. And that's why it's only number 9 in the countdown.
So far, we've seen giraffes fall from heights and apes hold on tight. But still to come, what newborn baby faces a very chilling reception? And later, Find out what animal jumps into roaring rapids right after it hatches. That's next on Animal Planet's The Most Extreme. Number 8.
The next contender in our countdown of tough babies lives in the coldest place on the planet, Antarctica. This frozen wilderness is also the windiest place on Earth. So while the temperature on the ice can be minus 40 degrees, the wind chill factor is so extreme that exposed flesh would freeze in less than 30 seconds. You'd have to be crazy to give birth here. Or you'd have to be a Weddell seal. When a Weddell mom gives birth, her baby has to be tough. When you enter this frozen world, you're in for the shock of your life. No other animal experiences such an extreme change in temperature when it's born. The difference between being in the womb and being on the ice is an extraordinary 140 degrees. The pup may have a thick coat of fur, but even this insulation won't be enough to survive the icy blast. It has to start work immediately on another layer of thermal underwear. It only takes 1 week for the pup to double its size. That's what happens when you live off milkshakes that are 60% fat. Cow milk is only about 5% fat. But then cows don't need to build up a layer of blubber 2 inches thick to survive both above and below the ice. Eventually, the pup will have to learn how to swim in water that's so cold it's constantly freezing solid. Seals have to use their teeth as rasps to keep their breathing hole open. It's no wonder that babies are a little reluctant to join their moms for a swim. For the first lesson, mom actually has to push her pup into the water. She even has to teach her baby that it helps to hold its breath underwater. It takes several weeks for the pup to learn the skills that can let it dive like its mom. After all, she can stay submerged for over an hour. The freezing water's no problem. In fact, it's far warmer in than out, especially when you're wrapped in a rapidly growing blanket of blubber. But seals aren't the only babies that have a way of coping with cold water. All mammals, even humans, have a built-in diving reflex. As soon as cold water hits the face, the heart slows down. The blood vessels in the arms and legs constrict, so less blood can flow through them. This conserves oxygen and heat for vital organs like the brain and heart by letting the extremities become icy cold. That's why babies, and even adults, can sometimes be resuscitated after being submerged for several minutes in icy water. This diving reflex is particularly well developed in Weddell seals. After only 7 weeks, the pups can remain submerged for 5 minutes and dive down 300 feet. They've molted the long fur that kept them warm on the surface because they already have an inch-thick layer of blubber. These babies need only about 2 months to toughen up with a little help from their mom. But our next contenders aren't so lucky.
We've chilled out with Weddell seals and dropped in on the giraffe. But coming up, Are these ducklings headed for certain death? And what little creature is orphaned the moment it hatches? Find out next. Number 7.
The next contender in our countdown of tough babies is really thrown in at the deep end. In South America, water pours off the Andes Mountains at terrifying speed. These Class 5 rapids are too dangerous for most kayakers, but it's home sweet home for the torrent duck. Mom and Dad are quite comfortable in these waters, but they build their nest 30 feet above the river. This keeps their eggs safe from flash floods, but it does leave their newborn chicks with a problem. The helpless fluffballs emerge on top of a cliff, far above the raging waters below. The torrent duck is number 7 in the countdown, because there's only one way down. If the chicks survive their huge leap of faith, they're straight into their next challenge. These rapids are home to aquatic invertebrates like stonefly nymphs. If the chicks want to eat, they're going to have to learn how to swim. How would you have liked to have been forced into these rapids when you were only 1 day old? The ducklings' water-repellent down keeps them afloat, but it's no protection against predators. That's why they must stay close to Mom and come when she calls. They learn to recognize the sound of their mother's voice even before they leave the egg. Other babies may be just as perceptive. Recent studies using sophisticated MRI scans seem to indicate that unborn human babies appear to be listening to sounds inside the womb. When parents read poems to their baby, each time the poem was repeated, the fetus showed an increase in brain activity. After all, it's important to listen to your parents, especially if you're a baby torrent duck in constant danger of being swept away to a horrible death. But at least these chicks have parents to watch over them, unlike our next contender.
Number 6.
Coming in at number 6 in the countdown is the octopus. This is one smart sucker. Recent research has discovered that when it comes to underwater intelligence, the octopus is at the top of the class. But this tough baby learns how to communicate, solve problems, and think all by itself. There's no one to teach it, because these babies will never know their mom. The mother octopus will lay 50,000 eggs and protect them with her life. She spent so much time guarding and cleaning them that she hasn't eaten a thing in 3 months. So once they hatch, she'll kiss them goodbye and die. The octopus is number 6 in the countdown because these babies are left all alone in an ocean full of hungry mouths. Luckily, the octopus learns fast because it has a nervous system so big and so complex that it rivals that of many birds. In less than a year, it teaches itself how to control all 8 arms and the thousands of camouflaging color cells in its skin. The octopus isn't just born smart, it's a natural problem solver. The octopus has a lifespan of little more than a year, so it has to be one of the world's fastest learners. But it's not the only baby that's been born with incredible intelligence. Meet Arjun Iyengar from Ambler, Pennsylvania. He's 5 years old and a true child prodigy. He's amazed his parents since he was a toddler with his insatiable desire to learn. By a year and a half, he started memorizing anything they'd teach him. But when he was 3, they discovered his passion for music. Arjun has learned more than 100 tunes on the piano and has composed a few of his own. He currently studies under a professor from Juilliard, but Arjun also has other gifts. In his spare time, he'll do a little algebra.
X equals 10 divided by 5 equals 2. Now, I'll substitute x equal 2 in the top equation.
And who needs a calendar when you can calculate any day of the year?
What day is May the 1st, 2004?
Saturday.
December 5th, 2005?
Monday.
Correct. March 17th, 2004.
Wednesday.
Perfect.
It's a constant challenge for his parents just to find new things to stimulate him.
Spain capital?
Madrid.
Morocco capital?
Rabat.
Poland capital?
Warsaw.
Australia capital?
Just like a baby octopus, Arjun's gifts come naturally, according to his father, Vijay.
He's a normal child in all other respects, except for his, great ability for math and music and science. I don't know from where this gift came from.
The octopus may not be gifted at math and science, but with 8 arms, it would be a natural on the piano. Unfortunately, with no parents to help it learn, the orphan octopus has to rely on information it collects with its own tentacles. That's because each arm has a mind of its own, and every sucker can taste and touch. In the sea, where everyone is a potential enemy, it pays to be armed and clever.
So far, we've seen a plucky duckling and an orphaned octopus. But coming up are babies that get in terrible trouble if they don't get off mom's back. And we'll see babies in a race where the losers have to deal with the devil. That's next on Animal Planet's The Most. Number 5.
In the deserts of the American Southwest, you better not mess with the next contender in our countdown of rugged babies. The scorpion is one tough mother. Armed with a sting, pincers, and exquisitely sensitive motion detectors, no bug is safe from a scorpion. You'd think that one of these babies would have no trouble looking after itself in the desert. Well, unfortunately, the favorite food of big scorpions is little scorpions. So it's a good thing some babies have a bodyguard. Living under mom's sting is one of the safest places in the desert, and that's why she carries her brood of a dozen defenseless babies on her back. They'll spend up to 3 weeks hitching a ride with mom. It may sound like they're getting an easy ride, but things will soon change. After all, parents of all kinds get a little tired of their children being parasites. In human societies all around the world, more and more children are spending a longer time riding on their parents' back. Yukiko Matsumoto, like thousands of other young single working Japanese, still lives with mom and dad. Researchers have found that a growing number of young people are choosing to live at home, despite their good jobs and decent salary. They've been called parasite singles. But for Yukiko, there are sound financial reasons for not leaving mom and dad.
Some of my married friends have moved to much smaller houses. I don't really want to sacrifice my comfort, so I'd have to marry someone who earns twice what I do. At the moment, I can spend my money on anything I like.
Yukiko and her friends are lucky that they're not raised by scorpions. That's because any baby that overstays its welcome pays a very high price. The scorpion is number 5 in the countdown because any baby that lingers too long with its mom gets eaten. With a mom like this, who needs enemies? In the land of the scorpion, it's best to remember that some mothers can love their babies to death. But if you think life is tough for baby scorpions, just wait till you meet our next contender. It takes only minutes for the weakest babies to end up as the main course for their mother.
Number 4.
Some babies start life in a race for survival. It's a sprint where there are no rules and plenty of distractions. Some babies receive much more than just a round of applause and a cheap rattle. That's because some babies have to run for their lives. On the island of Tasmania, the race begins underground in the lair of the she-devil. This is a Tasmanian devil, and she's in labor. She looks extremely uncomfortable, even though the Tasmanian devil gives birth to joeys that are no bigger than a grain of rice. The Tasmanian devil is number 4 in the countdown because these blind, hairless, helpless joeys must make a dash across their mother's belly to the safety of her pouch. It's a race for survival because there may be 30 joeys and only 4 nipples. Only the 4 toughest babies who get to the milk will eat. The rest will die. Fortunately, when some human babies compete, it's much less traumatic. Unlike Tasmanian devils, these kids are only fighting to look good. That way, they can impress the judges. The idea of baby beauty contests is nothing new. The world's first baby contest was run by legendary showman P.T. Barnum in 1855 and was incredibly popular. Today, baby competitions can be big business. At the Universal Royalty Beauty Pageant in Austin, Texas, babies as young as 6 months old are judged on things like their smile and personality. They could win a crown, a check, and loads of confidence, according to proud mom Tina Isdale.
We started with all of them before they were even a year old as very young babies. I would carry them on stage and present them. My ambition or hope for them is that they become very confident in themselves, the ability to speak well and handle themselves in front of a crowd. They will have those social advantages as well as the competitive edge.
It's this competitive edge that makes the Isdale girls successful on the American beauty pageant circuit. Luckily, girls don't compete in Tasmania, because here, there's no prize for coming in second. And Mom has little time for losers. Any babies left outside her pouch are eaten.
Our last two contenders have given new meaning to taking the kids out to dinner. But coming up is a chick that chucks out all the competition. And what newborns really come out fighting? Find out next on Animal Planet's The Most Extreme. Number 3.
Our countdown of tough babies continues with a big, bad bully. It's a con artist that's out to steal more than just the hearts of its adopted parents. You just haven't got a prayer when your home is visited by the animal that's number 3 in the countdown. The cuckoo. Mom isn't much of a homemaker. She lays an egg in someone else's nest and then covers her tracks by stealing one of her host's eggs. The cuckoo egg, sitting at the front of the nest, is so well disguised that it fools the reed warbler into believing it's one of her own. The unsuspecting reed warbler is now mothering a future felon. The cuckoo is number 3 in the countdown because it hatches 3 days before the warbler chicks, and within minutes, this blind, featherless baby gets rid of all the competition. The cuckoo is tough enough to lift an egg almost as big as itself, and it does it right under its foster mom's nose. However, some parents actually encourage their babies to show some muscle. Meet Connor Craven, boy bodybuilder. He's only 8, but he's hoping to muscle in on his parents' reputation in England's professional bodybuilding circuit. But no matter how hard Connor trains, he won't be able to look like Dad until he reaches puberty. That's when his body produces the testosterone needed to cause the fibers in his muscle cells to multiply. But for now, what Connor lacks in muscle mass, he makes up for in attitude. Back at the nest, the cuckoo is also a bodybuilder with attitude. It's now 5 times bigger than its surrogate parents. But at least the poor old warbler only has to feed one big baby. Coming up next is an animal that's the poster child for sibling rivalry.
Number 2.
Battling in to number 2 in the countdown is the hyena. That's because here on the plains of Africa, Mom is part of a sisterhood. There can be up to 100 other females in her clan, and the only way to maintain her place in the social hierarchy is to fight for it. You don't want to get in the way of jaws that can crush the leg of a rhinoceros. But in the quiet of her den, the hyena makes a surprisingly tender mother. Down here, her babies may be safe from predators, but they're not safe from each other. Hyenas are number 2 in the countdown because they start fighting the moment they're born. Unlike most carnivorous mammals, a hyena cub is born with its eyes open and with a full set of sharp teeth. There's nothing playful about this fighting. 1 out of every 4 cubs born will never leave the den. And the girls are the worst. Female cubs are flush with testosterone, which just fuels their aggressive instincts. After all, in a society based on female dominance, a cub that kills her sister has 1 less competitor in the clan's hierarchy. It's a brutal existence, and one that no human parent would ever encourage. But that doesn't mean that some people don't pay to see their kids fight. In New York City at the B Warrior Martial Arts Center, Brainer Martinez has been teaching children as young as 2.5 years old their first karate moves.
1 by 1, 1 by 1. Vanessa, go.
Yeah.
Adrian, go.
Yeah.
William, go.
Yeah.
Let me see a strong kick. Ready, go. Punch.
Contrary to popular belief, training in karate is not about learning how to be violent. One of the basic premises of the martial arts is respect. It's a world far removed from the hyena den, because first, Brainer teaches the student how to respect themselves and everyone around them. Then he moves on to technique.
Go, bad. Ready. I want to see more technique, guys. Bam, like that. Show me some kick. Ready, go. Fight, stop. Side kick on this side. Fight. Hey, stop. That's a good punch. Bow. Oh, it's good work. Guys, sit down.
Brainer believes that in addition to building self-esteem and confidence, these karate kids also learn focus, teamwork, fitness, and coordination.
See. Who's next? Who's next? Let me see. Quiet. Cody, stand up.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, you gotta give me a tiger face. Okay, everybody quiet. Everybody quiet. Let's go. Now focus now, champ. Ready, go 1. Good. Go 2. Come on, ready? 3! Yeah! Good work, feet together. Bow.
For these tough babies, breaking boards is not as easy as it looks.
For 3 years old to break a board, it takes a lot of faith. They have to have proper technique and proper supervision. Make sure they don't hurt themselves.
Okay, let's see. 1.
Yeah.
Focus, go 2. Are you ready? 3! Yeah!
Perhaps hyena cubs should be enrolled in a karate class. Learning a little respect would certainly make life easier for their mom that's always playing referee. But no amount of karate would help the animal coming up next in the countdown. It's so aggressive that it starts fighting even before it leaves the womb.
We've seen the 9 contenders. They're the toughest of the tough. Only one animal has babies that are more extreme. It's number 1, and it's coming up next on Animal Planet's The Most Extreme. Number 1.
Just when you thought it was safe to get back in the water, along comes the animal that's number 1 in the countdown. The shark is a natural-born killer. Thanks to horror movies, everyone knows that sharks are one of the top predators in the sea. But few people know just how tough their babies can be, especially the babies of the sand tiger shark. Like most sharks, the sand tiger gives birth to live young. Her babies can spend up to a year growing inside her womb. But to find out just why these sharks are number 1 in the countdown, you have to peer inside the uterus. Thanks to special cameras, scientists are able to have a womb with a view. Imagine their surprise when they saw the biggest unborn shark swimming around inside its mother's uterus. The sand tiger shark is number 1 in the countdown because even before it's born, the biggest and toughest baby has been killing its less developed brothers and sisters. For the sand tiger shark, it's a case of firstborn is first served. And strangely enough, some researchers believe that a similar thing happens with humans. The theory is that the way a family treats its children varies depending on the order in which they were born. This results in distinct personality traits. Firstborns are thought to be the most likely to succeed. Second-born children tend to be mediators, negotiating between siblings. The youngest child gets special privileges and has the most relaxed parents. And this can mean less responsibility and less self-control. Some famous firstborn children include George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Hillary Rodham Clinton, Winston Churchill, Indira Gandhi, William Shakespeare, and Albert Einstein. Ironically, the first American president was a second-born. But what does a sand tiger shark care about birth order? It's always the first out of the womb. It may sound like a tough beginning to us, because human babies are nourished by their mothers both before and after birth. But once the sand tiger baby leaves the womb, it's all on its own. It gets a head start because all its unborn brothers and sisters laid down their lives so it could grow. The sand tiger shark faces its biggest battle just to get out of the womb alive, which is why the sand tiger shark really is the most extreme.